Hey, you're listening to Big Blend Radio Success Express Show with Nancy and Lisa. And I have to tell you, we're going to be talking about doing work from home. A lot of us are working remotely, doing Zoom meetings, and then having to do online chats, and it's like a whole different world. I mean, even today we're, airing live from St. Augustine, and you may hear a few dogs bark. Right, Nancy? That could happen. And it could happen while you're in a Zoom meeting.
It might just happen right now.
I know, it could happen. But Sarah-Elliston is back on our show. She is joining us on Big Blend Radio today to talk about a toxic culture that's kind of brewing online. And you're not at work, in the workplace. You can't see people's faces, really, that are, it's just different because the body language is gone. And you can do things in chat rooms. And by the way, in chat rooms, it goes out into public no matter what you think. Just, it goes out there. So do not think anything online is private. But Sarah is the author of Lessons from a Difficult Person, How to Deal with People Like Us. She's a faculty member of the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. She's a workshop leader and trainer certified in values realization and parent effectiveness training. Her article about online communication and online behavior is up on blendradioandtv.com. She's got a bunch of articles on there too, so check it out. But most importantly, go to her website, Sarah-Elliston.com. So, Sarah, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
I'm intrigued with Ward's ABC information. I've been listening.
Thank you. I know we ran over time a little bit there. It happens with Ward. But thank you.
Yes, lots of interesting information. So I sat here and Googled ABC test, and man, did I learn a lot.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm so glad I'm not working as a partial employee or whatever, because it sounds like they get mistreated and the law is important.
Yeah, it's kind of good for some, bad for others. But it's in California. It's like people, got together and said we want to change the law. It's not like here's a class action lawsuit, but we're going to change the law, which I think is really neat and interesting, to have happen. But but we did talk about people that are naughty news and workplace, and like here's that reporter in CNN that apparently showed himself, and that's not a good thing to do at work. I mean, your article talks about online behavior and people gossiping through chat rooms and everything. And again, everyone's up on blendradioandtv.com now. We'll be in the next issue of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. But man, oh man, I mean, come on now, we can't be doing that.
It sounds pretty awful, doesn't it? Yeah,
I know.
It's kind of like we've regressed. I think because we don't see the body language when we're reading an email. We just or an announcement. I mean, and I'm not sure. I don't experience it on Zoom. I feel like I'm seeing people's body language, but some folks just sit there passively staring at the computer screen, and I wonder, are they doing something else? They're looking at the screen, but they're actually playing solitaire somewhere, or writing something on a different piece of equipment. So maybe that happens. I don't know. But
I think they're just looking and going, "Is that really me?"
Oh well, I do that too. But but the thing about like what you said in terms of if you put it out there, even in a chat, even when you think the chat's private, it's not. And that's one of the ways that some of the managers and supervisors have been learning more about how their employees are treating each other, because they will gossip about each other in a private chat, for example. And if you're sitting in a meeting with someone, someone might raise their eyebrows at something that you say, but when they're online, they verbally raise their eyebrows, and that can become uncomfortable.
Oh, Nancy would be that you'd find that with Nancy. Nancy's known for her rolling eyes and eyebrow lifting. And that's Nancy.
It's pretty clear what I'm thinking.
I know, no matter, but Sarah, it's interesting when you say this because, through the years, I think, Nancy and I have worked remotely all our lives, like pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in workplace situations, corporate stuff, all of that, but, the last 20-something years, it's us and, of course, being on the road a lot, even doing the radio show is this thing of communication that's always been online, and it's very interesting how
Mhm.
we all communicate together. And sometimes, like, I'll get emails. I'm like, dude, just back off, man. You know what I mean? There's like certain people that will email you, and you're just like, dude. And you said bring smiley face, and you always send me smiley faces. You rule. You're one of my favorite people to communicate with. And it's like
Oh,
there's
good.
there are people that communicate where they're really nice, but as soon as you get an email, it's like they have 10,000 exclamation points. See, I just did
Yeah.
10,000. It's really like five. See, I'm already over like
Mhm.
dramatizing the situation. But they'll have these caps. They won't say hello, how are you? There's like this
Yeah.
whole hey, boom, and it's like, and not even sign a name and screw you, I'm done. That's it. And it's like, and they don't even mean anything. They're just in the height of something that's going on, but they've thrown it onto the other person's lap without being nice in their email, and
One,
even
one,
text messaging too. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say what's interesting is that for companies that give you a phone number to call when you've just gotten completely bamboozled and trying to follow their directions to
Mhm.
order something or buy something or
Mhm.
understand things, when they give you a phone number, even if the person doesn't have a "I was born in America" accent, you
Yeah.
still get help,
Yes.
and you have a chance of saying, now, this is what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying this or are you saying this? And you can you have more of an opportunity to really communicate.
Right.
But when things like Skype and
Facebook.
Twitter, they won't Facebook, they won't. There's no phone
No
number.
phone number.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's kind of, I'm highly insulted actually that
Well,
they're
you
not
should be me
willing
that's
to.
kicked off. I'm kicked off of Facebook forever. I'm banned. And it was all because
Oh, are
somebody
you?
hacked me. Yeah, someone hacked me because I used the company, I won't say it, it's promo.com got hacked. And I
Well,
got
you
all
just.
the emails. I'm saying it, I don't care. I can delete this later, but it's true. They got
No.
hacked. I have the emails and proof of data breach, all of that. They had a data breach. They then while we were traveling in July, the hackers got my information. They spammed my email, so our website hosting company closed me down to the point I couldn't even see our websites. They were like, "You're totally like a spammer," and I have all the emails. I have all the evidence.
Well,
I
I
got
fixed
kicked off
it.
of. They did. Yeah, you called the hosting company, and immediately they know that's me.
Fixed
Blah
it.
blah blah. She used a phone number. She had a chat. She had actual help. Facebook,
Yeah.
on the other hand, no phone number. I had to go through this rigmarole. I'm on the road, so every time I'm going, I was traveling, so every hour I'm trying to check in and fix things through Facebook because the hackers got into Facebook. Then I was in a different place, so I looked like a hacker. I sent in my driver's license. I sent in as much as I could. They have decided I'm completely banned and I cannot call anybody and get help. And I've spent money on advertising through them and I cannot get help. So I would, but then I also just got 16 cents from a class action lawsuit on them for their advertising fraud. So maybe that's why I got kicked out. But this is what you're saying. This
Well,
communication thing has to change in this online. And
environment.
Yeah.
yeah,
There has to be an opportunity for face to face, and in my opinion, voice to voice. And I
Yeah.
think Amazon has learned that. I mean, if you look hard enough, you can find a phone number, and Amazon will call you, and they help. I mean, I've called Kindle at 2 o'clock in the morning because it won't work,
Mhm.
and I'm frustrated, and I don't know how to do it, and they help me. And it's
Mhm.
a challenge, but at least they have a phone ring. So I think some businesses have figured that out. Now, I don't know how much that impacts the kind of corporate uh, teams that I'm talking about. In my article,
yeah,
a lot of what I got was from the CNBC article, but from some others also. But there were more large companies, software development, all the way up to General Electric or something. Large companies where people were staying at home and doing all their work from home, and somehow the morale was, all I can think of is it was sort of shedding, where it was because they weren't seeing each other every day, or if they were, it was in a Zoom meeting where your opportunities to talk are kind of limited, and usually there's somebody running the meeting that wants to share information, and sure, a few questions are okay, maybe, but it's really like, here we are, here's what you guys need to know, here's what you need to do, and it's just, I don't think it's making for a very good workplace environment for people.
Well, there's no break room where you get to go have coffee together, eat lunch together, and talk about how much you don't like your boss together.
Well, I always think about, I had a boss that used to come and sort of hang over the edge of my cubicle, by the door. And he always used to come around when everyone was leaving. He would come and he would ask me some very provocative question. I began to think, is your wife out of town? I mean, what's going on? Do you want to stand here and talk for another hour after it's time to go home? What's going on? It took me a while to figure it out because he asked me this question. I think, well, I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's wonder if it's possible. But instead of being wise enough to say, can we talk about this tomorrow? I would sort of chat with him. But we developed a pretty decent relationship that way. And when we had some tough issues, I looked at him and said, hey, I thought you understood each other. What's going on, And I don't know how, if people are willing to do that online, like, what's going on? If somebody sends you a note with all the exclamation points and, all this whatever intensity, if they came at you like that in person, you'd sort of say, gee, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I don't know if people do that on the internet. No one's ever done it to me, but I try not to. I probably put a lot of smiley faces in my letters, so
Yeah.
You know what? This is really interesting, especially with texting and these short, like, here's your 5-word sentence and a smiley face. I feel like we're going to live in caves again, and we're going to put smiley faces on the cave wall instead of actually writing words.
Maybe
I'm
so.
not sure that I'm really in favor of the emoji. I know there's a smiley face that looks smirky, and there's one that looks la la la, I'm happy, but I don't know, man. I in a way, I feel like we're going backwards.
Maybe so. It's interesting. I've discovered on my telephone that I have a zillion different kinds of emojis, and Skype has a lot of fun ones. They have a whole series of animals that'll hug you. You can send
that's cool.
I send my granddaughter.
Speaking.
No. I send my granddaughter a Skype note saying, "Good morning. This is Grandma Sam, and I love you." And then there's a wait a minute, a hedgehog that hugs you. And my maiden name is Hedge, and we were all called hedgehogs, all my sisters and I, when we were growing up. So it's wonderful that they have hedgehogs that hug. And so I put it with the word. I think if I was more skillful, I would put my face doing it, but I'm not very good at that.
I think it has become it's become a new form of communication, and some people say that it's actually like it's a new form of communication. So it's kind of like we're shortening the amount of work we put into communication, basically. But this is an addition of something. Whereas, like in some ways, you've got to think. We used to have to send airmail letters or letters to communicate, or spend huge amounts on long distance phone calls. And now we've got to remember where we're coming from. Yeah. Now we are able to use something short and sweet and stay in contact all the time. One of the interesting things that technology has done, we were house sitting. You know how we pet and house sit as we travel and get our work done. And one of the houses we sat for, become good friends and amazing family. They have a light in their living room, and it changes colors. And each one of them have a color. The husband, the wife, the daughter, the son have a different color. And through technology, they push a button on the light, and it's like, I'm thinking of you. And so everybody has a different color, and it's a way of communication as they're passing through the day. So we've got to look at some of these things that may sound like emojis and everything, which can be overused, absolutely, and we shouldn't let them replace things.
Exactly.
But at the same time, um, there's these things like that are a way of, I am thinking of you, and kids do react to emojis, and so do business people. It's like sometimes you're in the middle of something, and that's the only thing you can send right now to be able to communicate when you need to. But I thought that light to me meant something so big, that this community, this family is staying together. I mean, they're staying together. They're like strong, right? But they take these steps to use technology in this beautiful way, and they all live in different places in the country to do that. I thought that was really cool.
It is kind of wonderful.
That is, and I think what you're doing with your granddaughter with the hedgehog is cool, and it's the thought behind it, right? It's not just slinging it out there, but sometimes in business, you have 5 seconds to do something, even if you're working remotely at home. It's some way of, hey, we're cool, thumbs up, we're done with this conversation without me saying we're done. You know what I mean? There's all of those. It's a new language for us to explore, but we have to not forget to really communicate. And I think that's
we have to be
happening.
Well, I was to say, we have to be careful about how brief we are. I started using a lot of smiley faces in my last job when the administrative assistant said, sometimes your emails are a little bit sort of a slap in the face. And I said, really? And she said, well, I think you're just being businesslike, but it doesn't feel very friendly. And I thought, okay. And she said, you have to use a few smiley faces. So I have, gone more to do that. And that's how it worked for a church. They wanted me to be friendly. And when I call people or talk to people, I'm very friendly. But I think sometimes when I was sending, like, this is to confirm that this is what you're going to be doing or where you're going to be meeting, I guess there were some people that felt it was a little too businesslike because it was a church, I guess, because it was volunteer work.
But, okay, I will say this. I've noticed lately, especially with text messages, there's no hi, there's no how are you, there's boom, 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 there's no thank you. There's just certain,
yes,
even
they
with
don't
email,
follow
it's like business-like doesn't mean being unfriendly. It doesn't mean not having manners. It means that
Getting
you
to
can
the
get
point.
straight to the point. You can get to the point, but it's nice to say hello, how are you, and thanks for this, and then say your piece, and then take care or something. It doesn't mean I'm so businesslike that I don't have to show I care about you.
Well, I think
to me
that
text messaging is kind of, to me, some people shouldn't text because it's one thing, like if you're texting someone that knows you really well and then texting somebody that you don't know really well and you forget or don't say hi or don't say thank you, then it could be construed the wrong way, or taken the wrong way because it's, and I don't call that being businesslike,
I understand. I think texting is a little different from email because you're on someone's. I mean, when I get texts from people that are trying to sell me stuff, I just get mad and delete them and block them, and that kind of thing. But when I get a text from someone that has my phone number because I know them, then I don't expect a lot of like, hi, how are you, what you doing, by the way.
No, but
I
thank
think,
you is good.
Oh, I get lots of thank yous. Well, and I send a lot of thank yous. But I was thinking, I use a company called Shipt, SHIPT, that I would recommend if anybody needs to have their groceries delivered.
I'm glad you
anyway,
pronounced that out.
Yeah.
Is that all right to have an advertisement in my radio?
Sure.
No, it's fine.
Whatever you want to recommend, that's good.
Oh, because they have a system where you go online and you go through all the choices that you have, and they shop in a Myers store, and I'd never been in a Myers store, so that's been interesting over the year of learning where they keep their brands and stuff. But anyway, and you tell them what you want, and then you say, this is how I want to pay for it, and this is where I want it delivered, and this is the time I want it delivered. And then they say, well, you could give us a tip now, or you could give us a tip later. And I always wait and do it later. But there's an opportunity for the shopper to get tipped nicely. And then what happens is, so say you're going to be delivering me some delivery from from say 12 to 1 tomorrow. So at 11:30, I get a text from someone that says, hi, I'm blah, 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 and I'm your shopper, and I'm going to be working for you today, and if you've forgotten anything, please let me know, and I'll go look for it and try to include it. And then they also have a little paragraph, most of them now, that says, please understand that sometimes the stores are really crowded and sometimes they don't have anything. You have to be a little patient for that. But, okay, so they start about a half an hour before they're supposed to, they have an hour to do the delivery. And it usually takes a shopper maybe anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes to do my shopping, because I think they're usually shopping for someone else at the same time. They do more than one order at a time. But they'll send me pictures of 3 different choices, because what I wanted wasn't there. Would one of these do? And they text those to me, and then I always say thank you, and they send me the thumbs up sign usually back, or you're welcome. And so we're communicating, and of course now some of them I've seen them more than once, so it is kind of a friend. One woman said, you didn't have this on your order. Did you want this week? And I said, oh yes, I forgot. But anyway,
that's good. Even a thumbs up is better than nothing.
Yes, they're I've noticed that some of the folks that are just starting, maybe it's the first or second time, they're not as responsive, maybe, if that's the right word. But I tell them when they come, and I say, hey, by the way, if you did this and this, I'd be more apt to give you a larger tip, that kind of thing. But they're all very nice, and it works really well for me. And that's about, and that and the other kind of the texting I do at this point is right now trying to recruit some volunteers for an event on Saturday afternoon, and I'm talking to people that I wouldn't normally text, but I have their phone numbers because I have a list of everybody in the church, and they don't know that I have their phone number. So I say, hey, Jane, this is Sarah-Elliston here, wondering if if you have some children or you'd like to do some Halloween stuff Saturday afternoon, blah blah blah. But I just sent 3 of them today, where I had to say, hey, this is Sarah-Elliston calling. Because
but you're
doing
a full communication. You know what I mean? Which is
Well,
and I think we're all phone centric too.
My experience is that if I call some people, they just they say, oh God, messages, and they don't listen to them. But they usually read their tweet, their texts, I guess, at least to respond to them. There is one thing that I included in my article from Taylor Swift's song, You Need to Calm Down, where she says, say it on the street, that's a knockout. Say it in a tweet, that's a cop-out. And I think that to me epitomizes the whole thing. Because if someone says something right to your face, like, boy, you really don't do that very well, or hey, you always play the victim, or I don't know what they're saying to each other. But when someone says it to your face, then you have a chance to really say, wait a minute, that's not fair, or that hurts my feelings, or why are you saying that to me, or at least have a discussion about it. But a tweet is like just a slap.
It's
and
coward.
I personally, I would be happy if Twitter just disappeared. But
oh no, I'd be happy if Facebook disappeared because now I'm on Twitter. Like, I'm back on my Twitter platform more than I am on Facebook.
But okay, it's not the platform, it's the people.
Well, no, and that's
Come
it.
on.
No, because the platform is using the people in ways that the people didn't understand. So watch Social Dilemma, everybody, on Netflix. Watch that and see exactly how you're being used. So here's the deal.
I just find Twitter to be like, I feel like I'm in a great big library with all kinds of things going on that I don't understand and I can't find them. And when I type in the name of the person that I'm looking for, there are 300 of them, and I don't know how to find them. Where's on,
Well, and here's the thing on Twitter too. Twitter is like Facebook on crack, and that's pretty much what I've told everybody. Not that I know what being on crack is like. I've never taken it. I do not want to, but it's like it's caffeinated. Facebook is decaf. Twitter is caffeinated, but the thing is, it's like here's Sarah, I was going to call you Sammy. I'm like, with this communication, we have to look at here's some interesting things. And one day I want to put you and Ward on a show about this. Because here I am as an individual, my personal Facebook gets deleted all of our business pages, right? And so this is a huge deal about what can happen to you on social media and online. Zoom has been hacked over and over. Hacker bombs coming in. That's why they have passwords and everything. So I'm not trying to freak people out, but this stuff happens. Twitter's been hacked. They're all trying to amp up their stuff, up all the platforms. So I look at what happened to me. I did not do any political stuff. I was on Facebook with you, Sarah. I didn't do anything political except for the Dakota Access Pipeline. If you took me down over that, screw you. That's it. I'm talking to Facebook, not you, Sarah. But that's like it. That was it. And that was
on your side.
Yeah, that was years ago. And it wasn't anything. I never did anything political. Nothing. I got hacked. They took my personal Facebook page down. They took my business pages down. They left our community pages there for anybody to swoop in and take up all of our hard work. Nancy took care of that. But let me put it this way. If you make a mistake on social media by being rude, political, your stuff gets seen that you shouldn't, and they can take you down right now. If your job is in marketing, you could lose your job forever, pretty much. In that way, you've got to look at this. Think about all the people that make a living on as being social media people. You could be out of a job if you don't behave right. It's kind of a weird thing. So that's why I want to bring up Sarah. It's deep.
Well, yeah, and I'm not sure how I would have anything to add to what Ward would say, but I remember when I was working in a company where we were using the company's network, and someone said, you shouldn't be writing letters to your mother when you're at work. And I said, oh, well, I do it before 8:30 in the morning. we start work at 8:30, so I sent her 3 lines. Hi, because I could. I mean, this was remarkable that we could communicate that easily every day, and but they were saying, here, there's etiquette. Because they could see that I was doing it, because they could look at what I was doing and what I was reading and what I was writing. And I'm lucky I didn't get fired over that young man that gave me trouble with my report. But we worked that out eventually. But I didn't.
And so,
my experience at that time, I tried to explain it in the article, was that it was so new that it didn't occur to me that I was writing my thoughts. I wasn't policing them in terms of, or screening them to be polite or appropriate or whatever. I mean, I must have been online for at least 6 months before someone in my professional group said maybe we should have a class on, online etiquette or something. I said, oh, is there such a thing? And now, of course, we know that there is, but even
go ahead, sorry.
Despite the fact that we know this, what's happening right now in our companies of people that are having to stay home and work from home is that women are being less, I don't know what the right word is. Their suggestions are more passed over, or there's just a sort of a creeping racism and misogynism around the way women and people of color are being treated, which had been changing in the workplace. But now that we're all kind of, locked down at home for so long, it's sort of creeping back in. And all I can say is, hey, watch what you're doing. And if you're a manager, start paying attention.
Yeah, and that's it's a weird thing you talked about in the article, which I really am so glad you brought up, because I want to talk about how it actually works. On Zoom, you have private chats you can set up. And just like on Facebook, that's why I brought up my Facebook thing, by the way, is you think you can do all that stuff and you can get taken down. And I just want people to know there are, mine was innocent, but if you do something wrong, like the journalist or Anthony Weiner or whatever, you're going to get taken down and you're done. You're done. Don't think that, and a lot of times companies will look at you on your social media of what you've put out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a huge deal. It goes far deeper. Sarah's talking about, hey, this is what's happening now, but please hear this. When people private chat and stuff like that, it is not private. It is not private.
Right.
And when you're talking about doing emails before work and your address is on the server of your company can look at any email. So if you're sitting there typing from one company, I've had this happen just within, I worked with this publicity firm about 10 years ago. I was, with the magazine, our magazine, one of the employees, and this PR firm was a client of ours. One of them, when the employees were like, hey, our boss, the owner, sucks. And I'm like, dude, I'm not answering this. And I'm on the other side. I'm the client. Like, they're the client, but like not like I'm on the other side.
Hey, we warned her.
And I said, hey, I'm not doing this. And then then she involved me with another girl, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to know. This is all in that email. If the end of your email address is the website of the company, everyone's going to see your emails. The IT people are seeing them. The owner of the company is seeing them. The managers are seeing them. Everyone's seeing them. You're going to get busted. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen now. Chats, private
I'm
chats
not sure the
are the same thing.
I'm not sure. I know that's true, but I'm not sure it's that managers are stopping to look at the private chats. Otherwise, the employees would not have been reporting to the CNBC reporter whose article I used as a jumping off place for this.
Yeah, that's one scenario. I think that's one. It's a great that you're going off of a survey or an investigative, report. Everyone's different. Eventually, it will come down, and people will be terminated over it. Eventually, but at the same time, everyone's in these private chats. But it came up, right? The private chats are not private, and
that's right.
They're not.
But I don't think the managers are paying attention. I mean, I think they're trying to get their job done, and they're working very hard to give positive feedback and encouragement, and have as close a relationship as possible as they can online. But to take the time to go and look at, okay, what were the private chats going on in this Zoom meeting, might be more than they're willing to do. I don't know. Unless they got a complaint, and it takes a hard time to to complain. Although I did read today about a social media employees for some companies are now using social media to kind of pull together, as in this case, women and people of color, because the company says in its mission statement that they're inclusive, blah, 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 but they aren't. And so the employees, 100, I don't know how many, a couple hundred people have gotten together, and on social media they're saying, hey, this company doesn't put their money where their mouth is. They're not treating us fairly. And it's not like they're suing the company, but they are sending open letters to their fellow employees and to the media, and using social media for it. So that's a whole new way of using social media.
Wow, this is crazy. And so how can managers now look at if people are texting? Like, they could be texting through
they could be texting
a meeting.
To each other, and I don't know. Can you go and read somebody else's text? That's more technologically sophisticated than I am.
More private, because it's between your phone and somebody else's phone. And down the road, that's probably not private either. I get a security person on, they'll probably turn around and say it's not, but it's not like if you're on Zoom. This is what's so funny. Everybody thinks they're in a private chat. Like, the owner person, or the person who has the account, can download all of it. And check what's going on.
I think that the main issue is that that all of us, now you guys are different because you keep changing where you live and you travel around a lot.
But we're living. We travel full time. We're not changing where we live. We just travel full time.
Well, but for the rest of us who are been looking at the same four walls, so to speak, since March or February in some cases, and depending on our age and health and all the rest of it, we may not get out a whole lot. So that when things happen online at work, it can be more irritating than it might be if we were driving to work and driving home afterwards. We don't have that time to sort of decompress on our way home or do something different, stop and visit with a friend or have a drink or whatever.
I think it's a really, I've heard studies of like workplace culture, people are accelerating and doing better, but I think it's individual cases. It depends on what your craft is, what your career is. I mean, if you're a graphic designer, sometimes leave the graphic designer alone, let them play their loud music that they wanted to play while they were at work and they couldn't, and they want to be at home. But and that could be totally wrong too, because maybe they want somebody to be part of the artistic process. So everybody's different, right? I think it's a whole new changing thing. Yeah, it's.
But I part of the issue is the it's easier to get irritated when we have like home stresses. Like I can't keep my windows open certain days because there's men outside blowing leaves around and mowing the lawn and stuff, and that's annoying. If I want to be on the phone and have conversations with people, I can't do it and have my windows open. But it's okay in the winter, but they don't come in the winter.
Right.
Never mind. But
yeah.
But I mean, I think something little like that is little, but things like that pile up. And I think people who have been working from home now for however many months it's been need to stop and say, wait a minute, are we taking care of each other the way we want to? That's kind of what my article was about.
Yeah, I think you're really right on that, because I think I can tell who has been home and who hasn't just through correspondence. And I'm like, so-and-so's going batty, and it's not bad. It's not bad. I just go like, I wish I could, help you. On the flip side, you should be on our shoes traveling the country and having to turn around every 10 minutes, because of COVID. It's a different. Everyone's in a different place. It's a very, very trying time, and you're right. The one thing now is to be nice to each other. I think that's
the title of my book that I never wrote, which was "It's Okay to Be Nice to Each Other."
Yeah, it is.
I never wrote that, but
it's annoying. At times, that's annoying. You don't want to be.
Being nice?
You know you want to be, but you're annoyed at the process. So there is that breathe deep and step back, right? That we have to do as individuals.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I heard someone say on Sunday that if you're resisting something and it keeps making you madder and madder and madder, you have to basically surrender and say, "Oh well," because getting madder and madder and madder is not helping.
It's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody. And again, it will all come out in the wash. I'm telling you, whatever you're typing about your colleague, it will one day you're going to have a red face.
Yes, someone will see it.
Right?
Or everyone will see it. Yes. And I now have a cat sitting on my keyboard.
Is that what's going on? We're trying to figure out if it's the dogs here. You have a cat on your keyboard. This is what's happening. I'm going, Nancy, are the dogs with you? Nancy's going, no. See, this is called working at home. Dog,
right.
cat.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing? So there you go.
Exactly.
Sarah has a cat.
But it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not, it doesn't, I just, when she's on my keyboard and I need my keyboard, I move her. But otherwise, I just pat her. It's kind of
Nancy,
helpful to pat.
How are you with the dogs? While we're on a live radio show, how are you doing with the dogs?
The dogs have exited the building.
Oh, good. Good. There goes the neighborhood on that level. Well, that's the other thing. I think in some ways, COVID has also brought us together, where people are starting to learn about each other's pets, their kids. They're in each other's lives a little bit more in some ways too. In some of the online conversations, there is that positivity too, of like, hey, and then people will probably do their nasty stuff behind the scenes. That's the sad part,
Well, I've enjoyed watching people's what's behind them in Zoom. What they have behind their desks or their chairs or wherever they're sitting, and I especially enjoy it when I'm watching some of the talk shows on TV, and they're talking to correspondents that normally would be sitting in their studios in New York or Washington or somewhere, but they're home. And, every now and then a child walks through or a pet walks through. I love it. I think
in some ways it's in a way we've gotten down to some human sides of things. And I think whatever the office culture is it's gonna still continue on, like you said. I mean, it's like I know bartenders that all know each other in the same bar, and they bicker about each other each shift, and they will mess with each other. So what are they going to do when they're home? They're going to do the same thing. They're going to mess with each other. So
but it's not nasty. I mean, they're used to it.
Yeah, I think there's just that culture, and if you're going to, just the reality is, it's not the same as saying it like you're saying, the Taylor Swift song. To communicate in person is different versus being online. But online is a very toxic thing versus speaking and talking and sorting something out. And you can still sort things out online, right? I mean, Sarah, people can pick up a phone.
Course.
They could even have a Zoom meeting doing that and sort it out. They really can.
Yes. They sure
important.
can. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I haven't experienced it when I look at Twitter, but when I see some of the tweets that are published that people say up to each other, I kind of think like, where did you get the right to say that? You would never say that in person to someone.
Exactly.
And that's that's where I have trouble with Twitter, because I think Twitter just invites people to go.
But that's up to the people. I mean, it's like we have free speech.
Yeah,
it's up to the people to be responsible. Like, I mean, on our YouTube channel with our videos, there's a couple of videos that we've done that for whatever reason elicit a lot of comments, and I have to monitor day in and day out. And at one point, I turned the comments off, and then I thought, oh man, now I turned off all the good comments, So I put the comments back on. So I have to monitor people who, to me, and you can turn them in, which I do regularly. So if you come on my our YouTube channel and you are racist, you will be blocked forever.
Good.
And if you use bad words and you're, I don't care if you disagree with the video, I have no problem with that. But when you're racist or degrading, then we will have you blocked forever, because we don't want to hear from you ever again. So that, to me, is not communication. That's a person who's not wanting to communicate, because communication is back and forth. That's a person who wants to incite hatred. So, and I see. Let me not be political, but I see more of this happening. And I'm hoping
this year.
Yes, yeah, and I'm hoping that it will go away. But you are each of us are responsible for what we say and what we do. And it's, and I don't look at a platform like Twitter or Facebook or any of that as having to police us. And apparently they have to. Like, I have to.
I don't think it's necessary. That's my point. I live without Twitter easily, happily. I only look at Facebook to see if my cousins and what my sisters are doing, friends. Although I see some pretty pictures on there, but I get nothing from Twitter.
Although you can look. Each platform has it's either for you or it isn't. It's your deal that you like or you don't. But at the end of the day, it's really how people use it. Yeah, and now the people who invented it now are in the position of having to police it.
Well, I want to go back to when we started Twitter. Yeah. I didn't do Facebook, and we had readers email us, please be on Facebook. So we joined Facebook. Then I started Facebook, and Nancy's like, "You're playing on Facebook. You're playing," and I'm like, "I'm not playing. This is annoying. I'm connecting with people, but it was like all this work." And Twitter, I will say this, and the reason I did end up really doing Facebook, and both of them, was to save California state parks. California state parks, they have so many, over 200, 300 state parks, and they suddenly said, we're going to close two-thirds of them or something like that. And this was like way back in 2008, 9, 10. We had the radio show, and they tried to do it over a Labor Day weekend or Memorial Day, something like that. And we're like, hell no. And we used Twitter specifically, and then I got into Facebook, and then just all my friends on Facebook, because I hadn't built a following. I was just my personal page. But through Twitter, we have accomplished some real good things.
Good.
I watched the Arab Spring, what happened on Twitter, and how it has actually saved people's lives. So we can't go 100% against all these things. They're there. There's some really
again, it's how people use them.
It's how we use it, and also the companies, how they're using our information as well too. And it's weird.
Yes, they collect everything.
So there's that. So I think it's interesting.
I hadn't thought of that. You're right.
When we look at this, there's so many positive things. There's so many negative things. It's here. It's there. It's going to grow. It's going to shift and change. There'll be new platforms that come on. There already are a gazillion. Like right now, I'm on Seek. It's an app. It's called iNaturalist.org. It is a collaboration between the National National Geographic and the California Nature Sciences thing. I'm going to get it all wrong. But and World Wildlife Fund, they created this app for people to identify plants and animals and all these species where you are on your phone, or upload your photos, and scientists use them if they are good enough for them to put it into the place and everything. And it's like citizen science. And so that's my new thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is really cool. This is positive. This is positive social media in a way. And yet they don't want to be social media, but this is positive. We're working all to document species around the world. And now I'm going, this is cool. This is better than all the political bashing, advertising drama, and all the crud. So it's always going to be revolving and changing, but it goes down to exactly what you say, Sarah, in your articles about how we behave, how we act.
For sure.
And in the workplace, even more, you can't hide away. You know, we miss that coffee talk and everything, the break room, the certain patterns we all have, but we still need to be kind, man. Be nice. Yeah.
It's just so much easier to be nice.
Yeah, and the height of the moment, you could just go at home. You can go pet your dog for a while, man. That's the thing. I think people are hanging out with their animals more than ever and realize why dogs want to take a walk. You know, that's the truth. But Sarah, always a pleasure having you on the show. And please give your kitten a little hug from us, or like a little scratchy on the head. They don't really like hugs. We know cats are
no,
different.
They don't. I wish they would.
But they like being tickled under their chin.
Yeah, but I need a dog, because dogs will let me hug them.
Yeah, I think people are realizing that.
It's been fun. It's been interesting.
Yes, it always is.
I do have a new appreciation for Twitter, so thank you for helping me get that.
Oh, get back on there. Get back on there. Well, Twitter has done a lot of amazing things, and Facebook too.
They were one of the ones that they, for whatever reason, they said I was, whatever the word is, I was doing something illegal, and so I couldn't. My thing was frozen, so I filled out all their forms like 3 different times and said I really haven't been doing anything illegal, and please can I have my whatever it's called back, because when I first published my book, I spent a good deal of money on, not a lot, but a certain amount every month for a woman to build my followers. You know, I had over 1,000 followers or something, and they're gone. And I talked to a friend. I think I went back to the person who first told me I needed to have a Twitter account and said, "Now what do I do?" She said, "Just start a new account." And I thought, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did. But I lost all those followers, and they're kind of wondering, whatever happened to Sarah-Elliston?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're going through with Facebook.
With Facebook, right.
Yeah,
and Facebook won't let me back. I can't just start a new account.
I don't like the fact that there's no phone number. Who does business with a company that has no phone number available to their people?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was.
It's a heads up, and I never even thought about it until we had this problem, and then went looking to phone them and realized we're doing business with a company that won't even publish her phone number. Now you got to think about it. They're collecting every bit of information from you and your computer, but you don't have their phone number.
And there's a gazillion businesses that are using Facebook as their website. If this happens to you, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yep.
Just saying. Because Sarah didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Neither one of us did anything political. And you should be able to have a voice, but it's like, it's this weird thing.
How do you get a business license without a phone number even?
No, they have a business. It's like they're companies that don't have to, they have a phone number, but it's not for the public. Because think about it. We were talking about this the other day. Thousands, billions of YouTube videos go up, Facebook videos. I mean, all the stuff I did for people, it's gone. All of it. I mean, we're talking about thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands.
Now you know not to invest your time there.
Yeah, so it's like, you've got to remember, Always don't use social media as your Rolodex. Honestly, do not use it as your Rolodex. And do not use it as your prime source of content. Put it on your own stuff and do your own newsletter. And be nice, because you're going to get caught at work if you're naughty. The big people are falling for that kind of stuff, so don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Sarah, we always love to play music. Oh, but everyone, again, Sarah-Elliston.com is Sarah's website. Go there. Go get her book, Lessons from a Difficult Person, How to Deal with People Like Us. It's up on Amazon. You can go right to her website as well, Sarah-Elliston.com. Her article is up on blendradioandtv.com, so check her out there. And Sarah, your song for today is Trash Talkin', because we're talking about people doing trash talking on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is from one of our favorite bands, and I think we've played music from the Walk-A-Bout band for you before, from the Upper East End of New York and Sydney, Australia. So this is from their album 2020, and it is called Trash Talking. So enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Take care. We'll see you on Friday for our next show. Take care, Sarah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.